What's up? What's up? What's up? It's World Changer Wednesday. I'm your girl, Nathalie Nelson Parker, and we are talking to real people who are making a real impact because they're what? World changers. And I am so excited because this is not just a friend. This is not just a colleague, but this is my sis on the couch today. Y'all give it up for the one, the only, my ride or die, Tiffanie Thompson.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you, sis. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. So, first of all, I wanted to bring you on because, girl, we are all going through the struggle right now, right? We just had a major election, and whatever side of the aisle you sit or wherever you come from, your background, this was one that a lot of people are emotionally invested in. And I think it's so important that I share this story of us and why I wanted you to be on the couch today because, you know, some people are grieving, some people are excited, some people are deeply hurt and feel like, is this the nation that I really belong to? But I remember you and I had a conversation a couple of years ago, and I was like, I don't do the politics. Like, you know, I'm just in my corner. I'm going to just make a difference on my side of the world. And you said something to me that really resonated and checked me in a very good way. You said, Nat, how are you going to make an impact and you don't know what's going on? You was like, you have to be involved. She's like, you're doing good things, but nobody knows what you're doing because you're not letting people know. You're not getting engaged. You're not going to city council. And you were really instrumental in helping me change my mindset around how important that is. So I was like, we got to bring Tiffanie in because there are some people who are really feeling some type of way. So before we jump into that, give us an introduction. Like, how did you get involved in governmental affairs, in politics, and really just make this amazing impact in the political social space?
So again, hello, everyone. Thank you, Nat, for having me. And if we're just talking about how I initially got involved in governmental affairs, of course, as a young child, I was always involved in volunteering and being out in the community. My father was a football coach, so I had to meet everybody, go to football games. He was also on the state high school athletic association. So we've always been overly involved in just community organization and, you know, just being involved in multiple things within our community that surrounds us. So bring that forefront to today. Go to college, get an aerospace engineering degree.
Literally a rocket science. And you are literally a rocket scientist.
But really didn't do nothing with it. But I found myself wanting more, and we had one of the youngest mayors run for the city of Birmingham mayor's office, and I was a part of that campaign. And of course, we won because I love to win. World Changer Wednesday, winning Wednesday. So I became a part of his administration, and from there matriculated from his units, his direct circle, to expanding myself within governmental affairs. So dealing with legislation and actually having real policies that impact our communities and making sure, you know, we do the research and get all of those things set up so we could really make an impact in the city of Birmingham. And beyond that, I had great mentors who just showed me what to do, navigating certain circles, making sure that when I'm in public, I know that I'm always trying to be present and build relationships. And so that's kind of how I've matriculated my way into being this governmental affairs consultant. But yeah, I think that kind of sums up how I got here.
That's so dope. And you are very involved in your church. You're very involved in your community. As you kind of transition from a kid that's in the community and involved, someone in the church who's involved, and you've moved into this political space, what are some of the greatest lessons you've learned as you transitioned in regards to making an impact and making a difference?
So I would say when you are intentional about the impact and the change that you want to have within a community, that you have to be invested fully, but you also have to do your research to understand the players who you're playing with, and you have to play with to get things done. So having a dream or an idea is only a dream and idea without action. And so understanding how to navigate certain conversations, how to navigate certain people, understanding their personal agendas, and how it aligns with what you're trying to do, your ultimate goal. I think that is my full focus of how I kind of navigate this space a little bit, because again, this is a man's world that we're living in. And so as a young Black woman who was not brought up in politics, I've just learned how to have certain conversations in a way in which it makes everyone comfortable. I always say I've never met a stranger, but I know if you meet strangers, strangers can change things and they can make strange things happen. So
that's so dope, and it is highly relational. So what would you say to the world changers out there? You know, you said it's a man's world, who full throttle put their hope, their vote, their energy behind the inspiration to make a difference and possibly elect the first not only female president, but a female president of color. And, you know, just feel dejected in this moment, to look at our country and to see that from the choices, this particular choice was made. What would you say to them, and why it's even important now more than ever to still be politically engaged?
So being a woman, first of all, the space that I navigate in, you really only see men dominating that space. However, although there are small or very few women, people can't take away your skill set. And so men don't empathize the way women empathize. And so we just have like a certain special place within us that makes us more accessible to be welcoming. However, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. So making sure your voice show up in the places and spaces in which it needs to. This election, yeah, I would totally agree that people got their hopes up. It's kind of like being in a bad relationship. You know what I'm saying? You was in a happy phase today, and then 2 days later you got dumped.
This ain't it. This is not what I signed up for.
So being hopefully optimistic about something possibly happening, it was kind of disappointing to see that this is where our nation really stands. And as a woman of color, I have learned that this space is not for the weak at heart. Nobody ever said it was going to be easy. And we just have to continue to drive ourselves and encourage ourselves and empower ourselves. Like us talking here today, you're helping me step outside myself a little bit. And just understanding as women, we are always stronger together than we are apart. Color never interferes with what we actually have in common. And if people actually sat down, we have more things in common than we do apart. And so I would just tell your world changers to keep driving, don't give up. When they tell you no, make your way for your own yes. Ask for forgiveness later, but do what you need to do to make what you want to happen. But you gotta be intentional and really, fully charged behind it.
Yeah. And I think one thing that I've also learned from you in terms of like being fully engaged, that it starts at a local level, right? Like, you know who your senators are, know who your congresspeople are, know who your representatives are, who's on the school board, who's like, all of those things make a difference. And I've found as we work with nonprofit leaders, small business owners, even religious leaders, that they don't take that extra step to really tap into the resources around them. For that world changer that's feeling dejected, but also feeling a little disconnected from their local community, what do you think their next step should be as we look into the long road of the 4 years ahead of us?
So in any company, and I don't want to speak specifically to nonprofits, but just understand with any company, when you want someone to notice you, you got to show up, right? Like, nobody can notice you if you're not in the room to be noticed. And you may not have to ever say anything, but your presence will be known. If you show up enough, sign in enough, email back, RSVP enough, make sure that you are doing the things where people notice you. And then when it comes to access and funds and gaining, funding for different projects. A senator, a city council person, if you're not doing anything in the community, what do you have to stand on? Like, what can you prove that you have done? And if you don't have anything within your little vitae or whatever, then nobody's going to give you anything, because you got to show them that you are actually working. So what I would say is get out there, put yourself out there. Get involved in the local organizations that they have. Make sure you're going to neighborhood meetings. Make sure you're a part of community fun days or community days. Make sure you're showing up at places that you may not normally show up at. If you get invited to a reception, show up. Black Business Week, show up. Black Food Truck Week, show up. Why? Because those are the times that you get to meet all like-minded people who are aspiring to be something greater. And if you want to get that funding, you got to have something that you have done for your community, or nobody is going to give you their hard dollars that they can have putting back in their neighborhoods, in their areas, if you're not doing anything to impact my people. So I would just say show up, make yourself visible, and branding is everything for the person who don't do any of those things.
But don't no, you might not do branding, but you are Miss Birmingham. Like, there's nowhere that I go to that people are like, Tiffanie. And I think that's just, and I say this to you all the time, they don't make them like you no more. Like, you're truly a highly relational person. You're a loyal person. You run by a compass of really doing good to people, being well to people. And I think that's such a beautiful thing that I think all of us who want to make an impact need to know, right? Because sometimes we put the mission forward, but you can't put a mission forward and not put people forward. Yeah. And you have to have that mindset. So you've been doing this for a minute. You're a Black woman. You are a single woman, so y'all be okay. Don't get too excited in the comments.
Get excited. Get excited.
You have led so many initiatives on so many different scales, nationally, locally, regionally. What have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome, and what did those lessons teach you?
So this, you're my friend. This. So like working in local government, going from local government to regional government, quitting your 6-figure job and then saying, am I good enough to make this thing turn around? And so just taking that initial leap. When you know what you know, you know what you know. Like, nobody can tell you, oh, you should navigate it this way or do it this type of way. Now, I've done some things. I'm a kind of mouthy person, and I speak with a lot of passion most of the time. So it's hard for me to dial back when I know someone's intentions aren't well. And then I hate when people force untruths or misinformation.
Yeah.
And people actually believe that they are telling the truth. That is like the worst thing.
That's your pet peeve.
Okay. And so, we do have a code of ethics in the state of Alabama. And so finding that people tiptoe and tinker with that line of being unethical when it's only meant to impact them. I'm not a person who participates in that. So I found myself in sticky situations, whether it's people asking for tickets, people asking for just access to things. I'm not in that business. It's a way you can ask for it. But trying to use their position for political gain, it has really shown me that people don't really value you until they need you. And if you play the game of not shooting straight all the time, you may slip up one day and that person catch you up in something that you never thought you would be caught up in. And you find yourself having to fend for yourself because people are like, oh, you should have known better. You should have known.
Right.
And so even when we talk about it all the time, like knowing different people, knowing who's in the room, knowing the players, like I said.
Know who plays with who and who doesn't play with who.
Know who plays with who and who doesn't.
Which sandbox you want to go.
Yeah, so you got to understand both sides so that you don't ever turn anyone away, but you just have to know how to navigate their conversation because you never know what someone's motive is for you. And so keep your eyes open and your mouths more open. And, like what they say, what's the little saying that keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I can honestly say in politics, in government, it's not really many friends. So you have to show yourself friendly to all. And I think if we open ourselves up and do what God asks us to do, you can always, whether black, white, Republican, Democrat, whatever, independent, progressives, like we all bleed red. So just opening yourself up a little bit.
So what's next for Tiffanie Renee Thompson?
Well, in a few months, we will have our big legislative sessions coming up, and that's the thing that drives me: policy, understanding what we have on our state legislative agendas, on our national agendas throughout the U.S. in other states, understanding what they have so that we can align our advocates and our allies to fight for the things that we honestly want them to be fighting for. And when it comes to, again, people participating in the nonprofit space, you all have to walk a fine line with your 501c3. So I wouldn't want to say be politically engaged, but you can find persons who identify with your missions. And finding those persons, you never know what, you may be led to do in partnerships with people. So I'm getting excited because we have legislative session coming up, and I'm looking forward to the municipalities that I participate with, having some great things on the agenda to continue pushing things that we want to be pushed as people of the state of Alabama, and as a part of the underrepresented, but we're going to always represent for the girls. And I'm just looking forward to see what we got this year.
It's black women for me, okay?
Yeah,
it's black women for me.
Yeah.
And we know that this may feel like a setback for some, but it's a privilege to do this work. It's a privilege, and it requires resilience. So for anyone out there that's feeling, dejected, down, just know that the world needs you now more than ever. So take your tear, wipe it off, and get back in the ring, because what you're doing is way too important. All right, so this is the part where we do the nugget of the day. So just one last nugget to give the people as we say au revoir and see you later.
Well, let me say this. Thank you again for having me. If I could just drop one thing. God doesn't set us up for failure. He sets us up for success.